Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is? Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And for those of you who like these type of videos, please remember to click like down below. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. But the biggest topic this week in the fitness world happens to be this documentary, Game Changers. People have repeatedly asked me to watch it, and some people are going to say, wow, I can't believe you're going to cover this without watching it. Guys, I am not watching another vegan propaganda video. I'm not wasting 2 hours of my life with it. I'm just not doing it. I've seen enough vegan propaganda. I can assure you that I am way more up to speed on all the science and the sports nutrition and everything else than anybody involved with that project. Okay? And every expert who's reviewed it so far has said it's just pure propaganda. It's not even based upon actual science. It's just anecdote and political and social propaganda. You know, people need to remember when it comes over to a lot of these documentaries that people do on food, this happens every couple of years. Like, I know a lot of you are new to the lifting world, the fitness world, the health world. A lot of you are fairly new to it. You've only been involved in it a few years. Okay, so maybe you're not aware that this happens over and over and over and over. Okay, we've been watching this for decades. And these things are never based upon science or accuracy. Right? They're just, again, sensationalized movies about nutrition. And the reality is they're trying to push the idea that basically people need to go vegan. And if they stuck with the premise of, hey, most people would probably do better if they ate some more plants. Okay, but there's a difference between being vegan and eating more plants. And I would say that they're not even in the same ballpark. And when we come over to health, longevity, performance, everything else, the evidence suggests that vegan diets suck. That's what the actual evidence suggests. And it's not because plants are bad. It does have to do with recovery, nutrient deficiencies, absorption of everything that you need, quality and quantity of protein. It does matter. It absolutely matters for performance in an athlete. That is not even subject to debate. That's been looked at ad nauseum, and we know that protein overfeeding has a lot of benefits for athletes, particularly strength-based athletes. We know that it does. It's not even a point of contention. And when we start looking at what our biggest culprits are, this is where all these clowns get this wrong. Because you'll see the people in the most extreme camps. You'll see the carnivore diet, which is a backlash against veganism. It is its own goofy movement that is a bunch of former vegans who realized that their diet was insane. That's what basically happened. They realized their diet was insane, and what did they do? They hopped over to the other extreme, and now plants are bad, and plants harm your GI tract. Okay, they're just as ludicrous and insane as they were before as vegans. But people see these two most extreme groups and don't realize that they're both so far from reality that it should blow your mind. Because let's be realistic here. If we look at 80% of the foods that are out there that people should be either moderating or cutting out of your diet, because moderation doesn't work for everybody, doesn't work for me. Moderating or completely removing from your diet, neither plants nor animals should even be on that list. These are not where we are getting our health problems from as a society. Okay? Nobody is having health problems because they're eating meat or because they're eating vegetables. And when we start talking about cutting either one of these out, it is harmful, it's stupid, and if you're pushing it, you're a bad person. I'm just going to be honest. I actually think that you're a bad person if you're promoting that people cut either one of these out for health purposes, because you are denying what the real problems are. Right? Nobody is unhealthy because they're eating meat and vegetables. That's not what's making people unhealthy as far as diets go. It has to do with highly refined, hyper-palatable foods. That's where your issue is. Large amounts of refined sugars, large amounts of refined oils, things like that. This is what's hurting people. Refined sugars, refined carbohydrates, refined fats. That's what's hurting people. And those things are both plant and animal based. So all of those foods that you're thinking of that we know are causing harm in excess, and in some cases, for some people, possibly even in some moderation, the foods that are causing harm and really causing you issues are coming both from plants and animals, and they're highly refined foods. And people who get caught up in these camps and the ideologies lose sight of that fact, and they start actually wanting people to cut out the foods that they're benefiting from. They're going to get the most benefit from. And I'll be right up front. Minimally refined animal products, perfectly healthy. And they're ideal They are ideal for athletes. Plants, and when I say plants, I mean vegetables. I'm not talking about eating a bunch of refined grains. In fact, I think we could make the argument that grains should have a lower priority down the list of foods you need to be eating. That's going to be a more controversial statement. I tend to lean in that direction. But it's not plants and animals that we need to be cutting out. So if they had stuck to the premise of, yes, people would do better if they eat more plants. Most Americans, most people in Western countries don't eat enough vegetables, right? And I think we could all agree with that. The experts agree with that. That is universally understood. A lot of you who are training and lifting, you probably don't eat enough vegetables. And the fact that some of the even fitness personalities push stuff like green products, just a bunch of refined garbage that they're using because they don't eat vegetables, shows us that that's an issue. And I would agree, if we just wanted to make that stance and that is what they push it, sure, everybody should be probably eating more green vegetables. Hey, that would be great. That would be a positive statement. And they did push that. But then they took it to a moronic extreme of actually coming back over to say that animal products and plants are bad. And I'm not saying you should be eating a bunch of butter and a bunch of refined meats and hot dogs and salami and again, butter and things like that. That's not what I'm telling you to eat. But meat and minimally refined dairy. And again, I'm not talking about dairy where we've added a bunch of sugar back to it. When we start looking at the data, even whole milk and large, higher fat dairy is not even associated with health problems. It's not. And we know when we look at athletes, it is a superior food source. There is nothing that they have been able to make that competes with milk as far as even supplements go, as even a post-workout recovery drink for endurance athletes, in terms of things like muscle protein synthesis for young men who lift. Right? Dairy is superior. I mean, if you want something that you would be a complete moron if you cut out, dairy would be up there, and plants would be too. Let's name 2 foods that if you cut out of your diet and you're actually serious about being an athlete, then you are a complete idiot and you are shortchanging your results, that you are not taking your training seriously. If you cut out either dairy or vegetables, either one of those goes out, you are not looking at the data, you're not looking at the science, you're probably too stupid to think for yourself at that point. You probably need to just hire a nutritionist, a sports nutritionist to tell you what to eat if you think it's a good idea to cut either one of those out. And anyone promoting cutting either one of those out is giving you bad, harmful advice. They are giving you bad advice and they do not have your best interest in mind, because the data is overwhelming. Those foods shouldn't even be optional for an athlete. And I want to make that very clear. They should not even be optional. That shouldn't be stuff that you only eat once every 3 days. Dairy and vegetables up there near the top of the list. And we could make a good case for meats and things too. But this whole idea it's ludicrous. It's not based on science. It's not based on reality. And I've seen plenty of experts who are legitimate experts in the field of sports nutrition are even looking at this and going, this is contrary to all the data. And basically anyone who watches a documentary like this and they think it's revolutionary or groundbreaking and they change their eating habits based upon a goofy documentary like this, and they're probably a pretty stupid person. They're either a very naive or a very stupid person. So people who are sending me this, you need to watch this, you need to see what, this is garbage, guys, and this happens over and over and over. This isn't new. This isn't new. And again, let's come over to the point. This isn't what we should be worried about. The vegans telling people they shouldn't be eating meat, you're not helping anybody. The carnivores who are telling people, oh, we need to not eat plants, you're not helping anybody. You are both harming people with stupid, crappy advice. And you're idiots. And actually, someone should probably shut you up. I'll be happy to do it. So, back over to the point. That's not where our problems are. If we wanted to really talk about foods that we need to be cutting out, it's all this processed crap you're buying in boxes. All right, it's all the table sugar. It's all the butter. It's all the oils. And I see people in a lot of these camps who are supposedly fitness or health oriented pushing eating this stuff. Okay, you're all equally wrong. The last thing that we need to be considering cutting out, these should not even be cut out of our diet, is stuff like vegetables, dairy, meat. Especially if we're serious about being athletes. And let's come over to what my point always is. We shouldn't care about epidemiology on non-athletic populations. And do you know why? because people who aren't athletic and aren't training don't care about their health anyways. We know that being athletic and strong and resistance training and being conditioned offset most of the negatives. Not all, but a pretty good chunk of the negatives of even poor dietary choices. That should be your number one priority, should be training. And then we need to be looking on top of that of what foods can I be eating to recover from, to fuel, to enhance my athletic performance. What's going to make me stronger, faster, better? Because we know that being stronger, faster, better is going to improve quality of life and health. We know that having more muscle, more strength, more bone density, more conditioning, we know that stuff makes you live longer and fights off disease. We know that. We need to be eating to perform. And that means cutting out any of these really critical food groups, like animal products. And again, when you say that, these idiots want to go, oh, you're telling people to eat bacon and butter. No, I'm not telling people to eat bacon and butter. I'm telling them to drink milk and eat meat. Minimally refined foods. And you need to be eating vegetables in very large amounts. I can tell you right now, most of you out there probably need to be eating twice as many vegetables as you're eating right now, if not more. You need to. These are the things that will fuel your training, they'll fuel your recovery, they'll fuel your performance. And anyone telling you contrary does not have your best interest in mind. We need to be eating for performance and recovery. And those things should be mandatory for that if we're trying to maximize them. And we need to be minimizing the amount of garbage that we're eating. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.